Hey everyone, and welcome to 1.21 Gigawatts. I am Peter, that is Connor, and this is our weekly movie news show where we talk about the week's box office. We also look at movies coming up, development, casting details. We have a horror section, a comic book movie section, and at the end of the show, if we've watched any movies not for review purposes this week, we'll also mention those in a brief spoiler-free capacity. You don't have any, I can tell by your face.
God, no.
I have one. I actually did watch one that wasn't for review, so I feel good. If I get one in a week outside of the movies for Gigawatts and Screams and Flux, I'm happy.
Yeah. I've had a total all week of maybe 3 hours spare, which you go, oh, you can watch a movie in that, and but it wasn't all in one go, and that's been spent playing Spider-Man. So,
Which, despite your lack of time, I still begrudge you because you have your copy and I don't. So.
Yeah, but I'm not really playing much.
But if
we just went through the schedule for the next week, and it's like, yeah, I'm not playing any of that for days.
This is true. This is Women in the Dunes right here. This is what you're living through at the moment. The sand is crumbling.
It is.
But yeah, so that is the show. That's what we're going to do. So we'll start. And obviously, we didn't have an episode last week. We were too busy schedule-wise, largely because of Connor's work schedule getting in the way. We had to cancel a few things last week, and that could happen from time to time while he's doing a lot of overtime over the next month. Trailers is looking kind of slim next weekend. That might be like every other week right now, just for the next little bit. But we'll see. That's not for guarantee, but it might be. But we'll try and keep moving news consistent though. But we didn't have a show last week. We did make guesses for the box office for last weekend. And then, of course, we've got the box office from the weekend. We're just now wrapping up here on Sunday night. So, we did make guesses for last weekend. It was the third weekend for Crazy Rich Asians, which was the only thing we guessed for. It was the only thing interesting enough. Because it had such a good hold from week 1 to week 2. It went from like 27 to 25 million and was like, small percentage of a drop. So, you guessed 17.5 million for week 3. Again.
Oh, yeah, because that was my same guess from before.
It was a great hold. And then 19 million I guessed, which also very good hold. Do you know what it actually held on week 3?
It's still in the 20s, isn't it?
21.9 million.
Bloody, I knew it.
I knew it. That is an 11.5% drop, and it's second to third weekend.
Tell me that this week it was 17.5.
Do you know, I've not looked yet. We could make guesses before I look at the list. I've got it in a tab. I've not actually looked at any of the numbers yet.
17.5.
Yes, it's 17.5.
It's going to happen.
Nah, I'm going down to 15. But I can't guess The Nun, because I've actually seen the totals for that. But yeah. So yes, 21.9 million at number 1, of course, was Crazy Rich Asians. The Meg was number 2 with 10.5 million. Number 3 was Mission Impossible Fallout with 7 million. 4 was Searching with 6 million. 5 was Operation Finale with 6 million. 6 was Disney's Christopher Robin with 5.2 million. 7 was Alpha with 4.5 million. Interestingly, both 6 and 7 were the same 6 and 7 from the week before. They didn't move.
Yeah.
2 is the same as well. Number 8 is The Happy Time Murders with 4.3 million. Number 9 is Black Klansman with 4.2 million. And number 10 was Male 22 with 3.7 million. I sped through that weekend because obviously we have a new weekend to talk about, but I thought it was worth just at least Crazy Rich Asians. I want to talk about that having...
And once you've started, you might as well do it all.
Yeah, an incredible hold again. But this weekend, September 7th to the 9th, that's what we really want to talk about. Number 1 was The Nun, and the estimates early last week were about 40 million, which was very good for it, right? For a low-budget horror movie, it was still tracking for the best in the Conjuring franchise. It actually made 53 million.
Jeez.
Which... Not to spoil the Screams After Midnight discussion with me and Tim that's already up, or the short scripted review that I'm also doing that should be up sometime tomorrow, but I hated the film, it was garbage, and this upsets me.
Getting more Conjuring whether you like it or not. And not necessarily the good kind.
Yeah, I like Conjuring. Conjuring 1 and 2 are great, but these spin-offs are just pointless and usually trash. I mean, Annabelle Creation was a bit better. Like, it wasn't bad.
I've not actually seen any of the spin-offs because I heard Annabelle was awful, and then people were like, Annabelle Creation's alright.
And they don't add anything either. They're, like, people are calling it a Conjuring shared universe, but it isn't really, because in a shared universe, everything's kind of equally. I mean, sure, in the Marvel universe, the Avengers are a little bit more important than the rest of the films, but they're all important. They all feel like they're integral parts to the overall tapestry, barring one or two sequels here or there that are a little bit, like Thor: The Dark World. Who cares? But like, for the most part, they all feel important in their own way, and they all come together to build something. Conjuring is a series of 2 movies that has pointless spin-offs that don't affect anything in any way. They're just tangents.
Rant over. Argue with you.
Rant over. 53.5 million, and it upsets me because it's a talentless, hack-filled, jump scare like fest with no tact, no suspense, no subtlety. And this doing well just means we'll get more crappy horror movies because they think they can get away with it. And
they can get away with it.
Yeah. Well, they can, yeah, but
it's not they think they can. It's they can get away with it.
My point's the same. Now they're like, oh, this works. Let's just churn these out. Honestly, it reads like a film that they decide we want an unspin-off. Someone quickly go write it so it can come out a year after Annabelle 2, and they went off and just churned something out in one draft, and that was it. As opposed to having an idea for a movie, and then
really hated this movie, didn't you?
It sucked. Anyway, number 2 was Crazy Rich Asians, at its 4th weekend, with 13.6 million.
Ah, damn it!
I guess 15. I'm happy with that. That's still an incredible hold, though. Well, let's see, actually, worldwide for The Nun and Crazy Rich Asians. They're probably interesting. The Nun is at 131 million, which for a horror film opening weekend worldwide is really good.
Very respectable.
Yeah. I just wish it was a better movie. It's just a shame because, I enjoyed it, but the horror stuff was the worst part of it. And I feel like the horror movies that make a lot of money right now, for the most part, are the ones that aren't as good. And that upsets me.
I mean, not always. Quiet Place made quite a bit, right?
That's true. And that was pretty good. So I'm not saying it all the time. I'm just, but I'm thinking of like the ones that I really love in the last couple of years.
No, it's true.
The Witch, It Follows, the lower indie hits.
Let's also play the odds. There's a lot less of those really good ones compared to here's 10 schlocky shite.
That's a point.
It's just going to make money.
That's a point. That said, Halloween. I'm feeling positive. Not about the film's quality. Oh, in fact, I read the first review today. Actually, there was a review out for Halloween today from the
They're not embargoed.
It was from Toronto Film Festival, TIFF.
Oh, okay.
You would think there was an embargo, but there was a review of it in Bloody Disgusting, and I didn't read the whole thing. I didn't want spoilers, so I read like the first couple paragraphs and the last couple paragraphs just to get a sense of the feeling. Seemed very positive. The only major critique I was seeing from my quick skim was that there was a really convoluted point to set up the final act, but the final act's really good, so you kind of forgive it once it gets past it. I can live with that.
I really hope you hate this movie.
I can live with it. Oh, better be good. But it's called Halloween. It's a week before Halloween itself. That is primed to make money. Primed.
That's a point. When's it's? I'm just want to see its opening weekend. I'm just looking at the dates and 19th. How they fall. So it's out the 19th.
Yes.
Yeah. The following weekend, it might do just as well because the following weekend's the 26th.
Yeah, it may have a good opening weekend, and then it may actually maintain that because enough people go and see it because it's Halloween weekend.
Yeah, that's when people do their Halloween parties and activities, right? Yeah. So, yeah.
So Crazy Rich Asians, the worldwide, is at 164 million. Interestingly, I wonder if it's not opened in a lot of places yet because 136 of that's domestic. So I'm wondering if it's not opened in a lot of foreign markets yet.
Oh, maybe. I'll have a quick check on IMDb. See.
Yeah, have a look. Number 3.
Otherwise, that is insanely skewed.
Yeah. Number 3 is Peppermint, which was 13.2 million. That is the revenge film with Jennifer Garner. I remember doing the trailer for it a while back. Number 4 was The Meg with 6 million. Number 5 was Searching. Number 6 was Mission Impossible Fallout. That was 4.5 and 3.8 million a piece each. 7 was Disney's Christopher Robin at 3.1 million. Number 8 was Operation Finale with 3 million. Number 9 was Alpha with 2.5 million. And number 10 was Black Klansman with 1.5 million.
Okay.
Have you got a result on the...
I have. It's opened in a fair amount of markets.
Okay.
There's still a few notable ones still to come. You got UK still to come, France, Japan, Ireland, Brazil.
Okay.
There's still a few big markets still to come, but it's also had a fair amount. It's been a very staggered release looking at it.
Um. Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. But hey, so there you go. Oh, I'm curious. What's the megs worldwide at actually? Just before we move
Too
on.
much.
491 million. You're getting more meg.
You are definitely getting more, man.
You
I,
you
I,
you
I,
don't got to
I
beg because more meg is
yeah,
coming on
I
the
haven't
reg.
actually seen it yet, but some co-workers were talking about it, and they were like, "Do you care about hearing the ending, or can we talk spoilers?"
Oh,
Yeah, do whatever.
the
And
meg.
yeah, the sequel bait.
Is okay. Bait,
Yeah,
good word
which
use.
feels appropriate in a fish movie. Yeah.
Nice pun, yeah, it's very good. What's coming out next week? Predator's coming out next week, as is A Simple Favor. That's the What Happened to Emily one.
Yeah, yeah, the one with the wrong title that is definitely
Yeah.
getting renamed for its home release.
Oh, I can see it. So we'll guess those two. I think those are both worth guessing. Let me just move to a new page. I've exhausted this page. So
Yeah, these.
yep.
I think what happened to Emily, because I've already forgotten the other title, is yeah, I'm gonna go 25.
25. All right.
Yeah, I think it's okay. I don't think it sets anyone's well on fire.
I'm gonna go with 16. I'm not feeling 25.
Okay.
I actually think I might even be a little bit high at 16 to be honest. But
Yeah, you might be. Maybe I'm feeling optimistic for whatever reason.
now, what are you thinking for Predator?
Predator. This is tougher. I don't think it's stupidly high.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's been well marketed though, so it does all right. I'm gonna go. I want to do 60, 65. Screw it. We'll go 65.
I'm gonna go 50.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be. I think it'll do medium numbers.
See, I thought that, and then I thought, yeah, but the Nun just beat 50.
Sadly, I don't think Predator's going to beat the Nun.
Do you know?
I don't think so. I think it'll do
I think
okay.
I'm seeing a lot of marketing for it, and compared to the Nun, I'm seeing a lot more, and that doesn't always pay off, admittedly, but
Yeah, I don't know.
you'd like to think that their budget
Dunno.
has an effect.
We'll see. But yeah, so there you go. That's guesses for next week's box office. So we'll find out who was right, or who was closer, I suppose. Not the chances of us actually being right is
It's happened like once or twice.
pretty slim in and of themselves. So there you go. In fact, let's do Nun's second weekend. Actually, I think that's worth guessing.
Oh, okay. I think it drops right down, given that reviews have not been favorable. I don't think there's going to be a strong word of mouth.
Yeah.
I think we get 22. Being optimistic.
I'm going 14.
Yeah.
I think it'll be I think it'll be under 20.
I can very well see it. I'm not, like I said, I think a 22 is optimistic, but I don't know. For some reason, I'm feeling next week will be healthy box office. I don't know why.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. That's box office. So we'll go on to the comic book movie section. I forgot to make my page darker. Everything's really bright and I'm blinded by the white light. So I'll need to correct that. But yeah, start with comic book movie news. Just a couple of quick things actually in this case. We don't have a ton of it. So this one's not as funny as it would have been had we actually had a news show last week. But you remember last time we recorded the movie news, Alec Baldwin joined the cast of the Joker?
Yeah.
That was like a day before we recorded. The day after we recorded, he dropped out of the Joker.
Yeah, I do think maybe I'm wrong. I do think saying he dropped out, there in that space is probably disingenuous, because it wasn't an official announcement that he was.
Well, to be fair,
right?
when he was asked about it, he actually said it was just scheduling conflict. So I mean, yeah, technically it may not have been a done deal yet, and they realised, oh, this can't line up. But
yeah,
I think I laugh because I just I assumed the worst, but it's just scheduling conflicts. It's not a big deal.
yeah. Honestly, I assume that by the time the news came out that he was the part, he'd probably already left. Like that, and that was just the first opportunity anyone got to actually verify it.
Possibly. And another other thing, and this is not really news, but I think it's worth mentioning. I think you've seen the Captain Marvel photos that have been revealed.
I saw one, but I don't care.
Come on,
I
good
just
conversation
I don't
here,
give a shit
man.
about set photos. Sorry, I just don't care about set photos like this. And I know they're not all set, but like the press release photos, I don't care.
I mean, I care a little bit when it's like a superhero outfit because you want to see how it looks. You want to see if it looks good. You want to.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if I cared about the character, I might have been, oh, I want to see this. But I mean, I don't know. Even like when it was one that like Shazam, I didn't I didn't bother looking at the photos for that when they put those out. They was on the cover.
Okay,
Eventually I scrolled and they were there, and I went, oh, okay. But
suit looks good. All I wanted to talk about was how good the suit looked or didn't look. Connor's
fair
giving me a
enough.
whole spiel about not looking at them. Now, suit looks pretty good. Looks tactical, which is nice. I know some people are upset the sash isn't there. Maybe that'll pop up later, but the suit looks fine. And the green version, which we saw like a leaked photo of like a year ago, it seems like that is a version in the movie when she's like part of like the Space Corps. There's like a team of them,
Right, okay.
all with that suit. So I don't know a lot about Captain Marvel. So this was all like just like information to me. But what's his face from Guardians 1 was there. Lee Pace's Kree character.
Oh, Ronan.
Ronan? Yeah.
I think
Romulan?
it's Ronan.
That's Star Trek. Ronan, yeah.
I'm sure it's Ronan. Yeah.
Sounds right. He's in one of them. So and we see a young Sam Jackson using their
I did see that one. I didn't think it. I thought I could see some of the work been done in the CG, and maybe this is because obviously Marvel have got a great track record with doing that young CG.
Honestly, I think it's because it's a still and not moving video.
That's what I was going to say. I think it probably looks fine in motion, but when it's there and I'm looking at it, the flaws are immediately apparent.
Because you can sit and analyze it, whereas when it's moving, it's constantly shifting and so on.
Yeah.
And plus, the movie's not out till March. I mean, they might not be done tinkering with it and
They might not. Yeah.
they just wanted to show off. Hey, look, young Pulp Fiction age Samuel L. Jackson. Should have given him the afro and the mustache.
Probably. Yeah,
should
that
have
would have
done.
been fun.
But it should have went for full Pulp Fiction. But no, it looked good. I mean, as far as big reveals go, I will say Entertainment Weekly's covers always look like trash. It was funny. I was seeing people say, "Oh, it looks great," and I know they're just talking about the suit and that Brie Larson looks great in the role. Yeah, sure, she looks good. But it doesn't change the fact that Photoshop cover looks like garbage. So there you go. But the actual natural photos are in like daylight inside the magazine that were online as well. Those look really good. Those look much better and look natural and whatnot.
There was some aliens as well, right?
Yeah, the Skrulls are in there, which Marvel fans are super pumped for. And from what little I've seen of the Skrulls in my experience, they do look pretty accurate. So
yeah, I haven't actually seen the photo. I just saw the headlines about them. I'm like, oh yeah, people are going on about this.
Yeah, and one of our like best friend characters was like one of our best friends who's also a hero in the comics. There's a character that's playing her mother in the 90s sections, which she's clearly setting up that her daughter is going to be, in the present day timeline. When
you don't know the name of this hero, do you?
I can't remember. I looked it up when people were talking about it, but I can't remember now off the top of my head.
Okay, fair enough.
Actually, I can tell you the last name was Rambo, but it wasn't spelled like John Rambo. It was spelled like French with the E-A-U at the end.
Yeah, okay.
I remember that.
I've never heard of them.
Monica Rambo's the daughter. I don't know what the hero name is, but I'm remembering that now. It's coming back to me in pieces.
Means nothing to me. I was hoping maybe a hero name.
Well, that's why I looked it up, because someone said, "Oh my god, Monica Rambo's going to be in it," and I'm like, "Who?" And I looked it up. That's why I looked it up, because I was confused. I was like, "Who the hell is that?" So fair play.
Yeah. Initially known as oh great, I'm gonna actually have to click on this Wikipedia link.
Well, here we go. Exciting, folks.
Initially known as Captain Marvel, later used the code names Photon, Pulsar, and from 2013 Spectrum. Pulsar sounds vaguely familiar.
I like Photon. That's a good name.
Yeah, it's not bad. I'm assuming it's some sort of light-based powers, given the names.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, they're all light sounding. Anyway, so yeah, that was comic stuff. But I thought it was worth mentioning the photos because they were the hot topic this week. One of the images had her a Nine Inch Nails shirt, which had everyone nostalgic, I guess.
Sure.
And a weird conspiracy that it was based off a Kyle Rayner image from a Green Lantern comic book from the 90s.
It was.
Anyway, moving on to the general news, and we actually start off with something kind of serious. and I've got a whole page and a half devoted to this
Oh, great.
because it kept developing as the week goes on. It's kind of a shame. I'm not particularly fond of this story, but we must dive in.
I'm not sure what's coming here.
It's about Predator. Do you know this?
I saw like one headline like earlier in the week.
Oh yeah,
I've been out of the loop this week. I've been busy.
Well, there's developments. So there was a scene cut from the Predator after it was discovered. More specifically, after Olivia Munn, who's in the film, pointed out to producers or the studio that as there was an actor in it who was a registered sex offender. And where's the name here? Stephen Wilder Striegel is the actor in question. So she notified them, and they made the choice to cut the scene. Now it sounds like it wasn't like he's not a prominent character in the movie. It sounds like he was in like a one scene. It's like a joke.
Yeah. This is as far as I've seen.
This is as far as you've seen,
by the way.
The other thing here to note is that the scene in question, he played a character who repeatedly. No one's seen the scene, outside of the obviously the makers, but apparently it involves him repeatedly trying to hit on her when she's trying to like jog. So he's playing someone who's sexually harassing her. And Olivia Munn herself has actually been the victim of sexual abuse. So she pointed this out to the studio, and they decided to cut it. And obviously the news broke out. And this sounds kind of, especially since when you read into what he actually was arrested for and spent I think 6 months in prison for, was what's the exact phrasing here? Jail. It says spent 6 months in jail in 2010 after pleading guilty to the risk of injury to a child and enticing a minor by computer. He was trying to set up I'll be polite and call it a date with I think it was a 14-year-old that he met at a family gathering of all places. So you've got that to process, and then the other sad part here, just as being a fan of Shane Black, is that Shane Black knew about this and has actually had him cast in multiple of his movies. He's in Iron Man 3, he's in The Nice Guys, and he cast him, and he put out a statement saying something along the lines of, I've got the exact quote here. I personally chose to help my friend, Black told The Times. I can understand others might disapprove, as his conviction was on a sensitive charge and not to be taken lightly. So then it changed. More developments happened, and then Shane Black released a second statement, and this is what he said. Having read this morning's news reports, it has sadly become clear to me that I was misled by a friend I really wanted to believe was telling me the truth when he described the circumstances of his conviction. Black said in a statement, I believe strongly in giving people second chances, but sometimes you discover that chance is not warranted as you may have hoped. So he released a statement saying that he wasn't actually as fully aware of what he was arrested for than
that statement seems contradictory to me. At the end, just that one at the end there, I want to give someone a second chance, but maybe I shouldn't. And I'm like, hang on, you give them a second chance and then they throw it away, sure, but you can't be like, oh yeah, I'll give them a second chance. Well, but no.
No, I don't have a problem with that bit at the end. What you're saying there is that because what you say with this statement is essentially, I didn't realise it was as severe as it was. He told me it was for X thing, and he knew it was in. I assume he knew it was in the. So we were to use, but the genre of sexual abuse, but he didn't necessarily know it was specifically a minor, maybe, or maybe he didn't know what he was actually trying to do when he got caught, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a little bit fishy, and I really like Shane Black as a filmmaker, but I can't help but feel this is a little bit fishy. I find it a little difficult to believe that he didn't know enough.
How does Olivia Munn know and not him?
Well, because it's public. You can search.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But she must have had an inkling to check for whatever reason, right?
I'm not sure if it tells us why she checked, actually. Here's a statement that Fox made, though. Our studio was not aware of Mr. Striegel's background when he was hired. Several weeks ago, when the studio learned of his details, his one scene in the film was removed within 24 hours. We were not aware of his background during the casting process due to legal limitations that impede studios from running background checks on actors, which sounds insane to me, that studios are not allowed to do background checks on actors.
I don't know. I get it to a degree. I think the point...
What's the point? Tell me the point of this.
The point is that you can't discriminate against someone because they have been in jail for something, because they,
okay, sure,
they have a record, and you can't go, oh, we don't want them around. That's the point. It's to protect, people who, maybe have done something smaller and got punished
okay, sure.
at the time.
All right, but this is obviously registered sex offenders are public. That's the point of being a
Yes,
registered sex
of course.
offender, is that people are made to be aware. Now, when this first broke, my disappointment was mainly that Black. It's not so much that he gave his friend, who was this guy, a chance. It's more that he did not disclose to who he was working with and the people around him that this was the case. He kept it to himself. He did not disclose to the other actors, in particular Olivia Munn, who was in a scene with them of that nature. He did not disclose this. They have a right to know that before they're working with them. That was my first thought when this first part broke, right?
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I assume going through his mind, is the guy. Assume again, he didn't know quite how bad it was.
Assuming you
right,
take him at his word.
Yeah, assuming all of that, he's going, okay, well, the guy served his time. He knows better now. He's a reformed man. There's no need to bring it up and constantly make it worse for him here.
Depending on how much he knows, that's a problem, because the entire point of being a registered sex offender is the law is saying, no, you don't get to hide that.
No, it's true.
And Shane Black doesn't get to just turn around and say, no, you know what? Since I like him, I'm just going to keep that hush hush. That's the big problem here. Well, that was.
You don't get to hide it, but you also don't have to declare it to everyone either.
Oh shit! Surely your employer should know. People you're working with should know. I mean,
no, your employer should know, and in this case, Shane Black is the employer.
Okay.
You can argue. There's an argument that maybe you should tell the studio, right? The executives and the producers.
Oh, I think it's just an argument. You absolutely should have told them.
Oh no, that's fair. But the other cast members, that's like, okay, if you work in a store, and so your boss knows, but they don't necessarily have to tell every other employee in the store.
They don't have to. I would say they should, and I think because I think it matters if everyone around them feels comfortable. I think that's important. It's with a crime of this nature. I mean, the reason why we have a registered sex offender list is that it's something that people feel very sensitive about, quite rightly. And I think the problem with comparing any other job to this is that this is a very public job that people get to see. And does it send the right message that someone can do this and then get a movie career in some capacity and be in movies and and things are okay? So, but anyway, the point I was making is that at this point, that's where I was. I was disappointed in the lack of disclosure, and then clearly, if people had a problem with it, then it should have been dealt with accordingly, and no one should have been, no one should have been mad at Olivia Munn or anyone else for feeling uncomfortable. Why? Of course not. Why should they?
Were they?
Well, let's get to the next parts.
Oh God, you can tell I've not heard anything about this story, can't you?
Let's get to the next parts, which I'm really a little bit upset about. So he continued on. I'm deeply disappointed in myself. I apologise to everyone for making this decision. And I'm like, okay, right. So that came out a little bit later, and I was like, okay, right. Well, he's apologising. I mean, it feels a little bit fishy that he didn't know, but if he's telling the truth here, and he might be, I'm like, okay, right. He thought it wasn't as severe as it was, and now he's apologising. However, where it gets a little bit trickier, so the premiere obviously was this week, right? And they obviously had red carpet interviews and stuff, although Olivia Munn and the director, Shane Black, did not attend the red carpet, just because obviously everyone was getting asked about this. And there was a lot of quotes coming out from various cast members about, they made the right call cutting the scene, blah, blah, blah.
Which is weird enough in itself for, the director and one of your biggest stars not to attend.
So Munn and 11-year-old Jacob Tremblay from Room, who's also in Predator, obviously, were the only two cast members to appear for an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, as the rest had backed out of scheduled interviews, presumably because of the subject matter of the deleted scene. When asked about their absence, Munn said, "It's a very lonely feeling to be sitting here by myself when I should be sitting here with the rest of the cast," while adding, "There are many people who get very mad at you for not just helping them bury it." Right now, it seems like the rest of the cast and the director are kind of like she mentioned that no one called on the day of the premiere, no one sat with her at the premiere, no one talked to her, and this is because there's a story here. Let me do this next paragraph, because if this is not in this, then I can bring this up after. I haven't heard from Shane. I did see his apology that he put out. I appreciate the apology. I would have appreciated it more if it was directed towards me privately before it went public, and I had to see it online with everyone else. It's honestly disheartening to have to fight for something so hard. That is just so obvious to me. I don't know why this has to be such a hard fight. I do feel like I've been treated by some people like I'm the one who went to jail, or that I'm the one who's put this guy on set. Yeah, the other thing that I read was that she said that at the premiere, like, she heard like all the all the other cast members like cheering at the end when the credits rolled and all that, and she felt a bit weird because no one had spoken to her that day. None of the cast, the director, and all I'm thinking is, Jacob Tremblay's a star, like that little guy.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird. No, I mean, of course they're cheering. That's what happens at every premiere, right?
Well, I don't think the point though isn't that they're cheering. The point is that they're being happy and jovial, and they seem to have ignored her all day or not talked to her all day. They seem to be avoiding her.
Yeah.
And again, more could come out here as to more specifics, but it's not a good look for any of them, I don't think. I mean, even like I typically think of Key and Peele.
Yeah.
Like, I typically think of him as being a pretty stand-up guy, but he was including the people who backed out the interviews that were all planned.
That's fair. I mean, I'm not sure who was to blame for this. I don't know who was meant to be there.
A bunch.
Is there a list?
There was a list. I don't have the exact list in front of me, but it was a bunch of the main cast members, and they backed out. The whole thing's just really murky, and there's no concrete. A lot of it's left to kind of like, okay, why are they kind of letting her be the PR person for this on her own? Why is no one kind of like standing by her side with this?
Because all the agents are going, get out of there.
Is that the best idea though in this climate?
Probably not, but I think it's the traditional approach, right? And they're probably wrong to still be using it, but it's just they've not changed their tactics.
I don't know. I read, because after the apology from Black, I was like, okay, I can kind of just I'll just kind of forget about it. It seems genuine enough. And then this next part though, where it seems like everyone's kind of like letting her like be the only person talking about it, and not really. I mean, sure, you put out a statement, but since then they've been kind of like avoiding the interviews and letting her go on her own. It's kind of weird. It's like, why?
Yeah, it is pretty weird. I've got no defense here. It kind of seems like a bit of a murky mess.
It does. And it feels like so much of it could just be fixed right now with people just working together and talking to each other and apologising to each other. That's all it seems like it's going to take to fix where we're at right now. And it just looks worse now. It just looks worse now. And it's like, well...
It does.
So, shout out to Munn for speaking out for something she felt uncomfortable with. And shout out to Jacob Tremblay for being the only male cast member willing to go and... Now, admittedly, he probably just wasn't aware of the whole thing and didn't have a say, but still, all the same, he showed up like a trooper and sat there and smiled. Well, that's very... I mean, just imagine that.
What have I got myself into?
This is a very serious conversation that 11-year-old is probably prepared to weigh in on.
He's got to be 12 by now, surely.
I don't know. What age was he when Room came out? I don't know.
I just he's been 11 for a long time.
Oh, maybe he's 12 now. I don't know.
He's 11 for another month.
Yes, he's 11.
So, yeah, you still got it.
Nice. There you go. Alright, so let's move on to some other things, some quick bits and pieces out the way. Top Gun Maverick has moved its release date. It was meant to come out on July 12th, 2019, but it is now coming out on June 26th, 2020, so it's moved a year, give or take. Apparently this is to do with the complex flight sequences that they want to do, which says to me they're not just doing CG, they're actually going nuts and...
Getting some stunts in.
Which probably means Tom Cruise is actually going to be flying a plane and doing spins and shit.
He's definitely on the outside of a plane.
He basically just lets people film do extreme stunts and just makes money off of it. He just wants to do the stunts.
He is basically a big budget version of Jackass.
I feel like the movie's just like, oh, that's just to justify the expense of it. All he really wants to do is the extreme stunt in the middle.
I am terrified to ever find out what the insurance premium on Tom Cruise is.
Oh, God.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Or is he just rich enough he just covers it? Like, if I die, you can just take it in my will. It's fine. Just cover the losses with my will. You could probably afford it.
I mean, it could. It's not usually how it works. It's usually done through the studio, but maybe that's how he convinces them.
Yeah, maybe that's the game here. He's rich enough to pay for his own, the damages of like the movie being cancelled because he died.
I remember when Harrison Ford, he does a lot of piloting. He has his own little plane, and he had a bit of a crash. Not a bad one, it was an unscheduled landing.
Yeah, I remember. It was a golf field he landed in, right?
Yeah, and it was around the time when he was shooting Star Wars, and they actually said, right from now on, you're not allowed to fly while you're filming any big budget movies because it puts the premium up too high because it
Ah.
becomes this added risk.
But once production's done,
Yeah, yeah. When he's on his own time, if he's
yeah.
not on a movie, he can do whatever he wants. But when he's scheduled on a movie, he's not allowed to fly because then they have to
Well,
pay extra
he's
for
not
the
allowed to
insurance.
pilot, presumably. He's allowed to be a passenger.
Sure, sure.
Because that's the thing that happens a lot with actors. They have to fly about.
They do.
Also, some other Paramount dates, because obviously Top Gun's Paramount. Sonic the Hedgehog has got a release date, or it already had a release date, but it's moved a week ahead from November 15th to November 8th, 2019, so that's coming next year. And likewise, later that month, Terminator, the new one, whatever they're going to call it, has
Terminator, the new one.
is moved from the 22nd to the 15th of November. So that's actually taking Hedgehog's day. So they have Sonic and Terminator back to back next November. What a weird.
Tells me they're not overly confident in Sonic. They're not expecting much from it.
I don't think they're that overly confident in either of them. I feel like they're both kind of like they expect one might be big, but they're not sure which one, so they're just kind of hedging their bets. And okay, one of these will do well.
I would agree, but I think they're expecting more from Terminator by putting that second.
Sure, I can see that. But hey, hopefully it doesn't suck balls because they've all sucked balls since Terminator 2, which was great, as was Terminator 1.
I wouldn't go as far as say 3 sucked balls. It was not good.
Okay, it was mediocre.
Yeah.
It was not befitting of the name Terminator.
It wasn't, but it's still a significant rung above everything else that's followed.
I can't believe we're getting a 6th Terminator. I remember when there was only 2, and I was curious to what a 3rd one would be, and now there's been like more shit ones than there have been the good Terminator movies. It's insane. And
yeah, they ruined that name, didn't they?
What really gets me as well is that every single one was a new attempt of like starting a new franchise. Every single one was a failed soft reboot.
Yeah. Do we know what they're doing for this one?
Well, Linda Hamilton's back playing Sarah Connor, so they're ignoring 3 for a fact. And
okay, I mean it's not the first time they've done that though, is it?
Well, it depends because. Technically, you could say it still exists in continuity with the other 2 after it because Genesis was all time travel anyway, so it didn't really matter. And then Salvation was just set after. In fact, if anything, his girlfriend in Salvation looked kind of like Claire Danes from 3, so it was like kind of in continuity.
Fair enough. More so, okay, maybe not actively ignored, but more just it could just not exist and it wouldn't make any difference.
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter. It's true.
Unlike the first 2, which definitively happened because they were the good ones.
So, next up, Rebecca Ferguson's in talks to join Denis Villeneuve's Dune. So this, of course, is the new big adaptation of the Dune book, which obviously David Lynch did a version of in the 80s, and it was gloriously messy but wonderful.
I mean, I don't know if I can argue with that.
You know you can't. Of course, Timothée Chalamet was already cast as the lead, and Ferguson will play his mother. I don't think Ferguson was that old. I mean, I guess because I know she's technically the Tom Cruise love interest in the last Mission Impossible, and of course he's like 55 now. But
you just assume that they followed the rule of always go significantly younger for the love interest.
Oh yeah, because I remember seeing Oblivion, which was only 5 years ago, so he was about 50. And his love interest in that was like 26, and it was like she's literally half his age. What are we doing here? Stop it.
To be fair though,
it
is realistic that women half his age still throw themselves at Tom Cruise.
Yes, because he's Tom Cruise, but in the movie he's not playing Tom Cruise.
It's a fair point.
That said, it's also true in that movie that he's like the last man on Earth. But I mean, that's besides the point. They still chose to have it be a younger character. Anyway.
Yes, they did. Because they always do.
But yeah, so Rebecca Ferguson's playing the mother. Well, she's in talks. It's not official yet, but these tend to end up being official. Unless you're Alec Baldwin, in which case they end up being already thrown out the window. Next up, Die Hard 6, which is going to be the origin story of John McClane, which was originally titled Die Hard Year 1. I loved that they were going to do Die Hard named after like the Batman Year 1.
I can't believe we were going to get a Year 1.
I mean, it's still that, but it's got a new name.
No, I know, but actually something calling it a Year 1. That's fantastic. This one's not as good.
No, it's just called McClane, which is boring as shit.
Boring bastards.
it's just, oh my god,
Year one was way better.
yeah. No, I'm not looking forward to it because
No, it has no impact on the quality of the movie.
yeah,
But
because five was garbage. Like five was like straight up garbage. I hated it.
never had the misfortune.
And four was okay at the time. I don't know if it would still be okay. Like it might
I
have
never watched
aged
4 'cause
poorly.
I heard kind of like, yeah, I mean, it's fine, but I don't really need to. So I
That,
just stopped at 3.
there was a couple of fun scenes and references that I remember, but like I feel like if I go back and watch it, the action might not work for me anymore and whatnot. I mean, ultimately, what I'm saying is watch 1, 2, 3, and then just make your choice after that. You can just pick.
Yeah, that's what I did. I just stopped after that. I was like, you know what? I'm pretty happy with that.
And I think my problem with this as well is that John McClane does not need an origin story.
Do you know what the real problem is? Die Hard is his origin story.
Yes, yes. But no, we're going to get 20-something John McClane, and then it's going to intercut with 60-year-old John McClane, obviously played by Bruce Willis. I don't get it.
But like I said, that first movie is his origin story. He's a regular police officer, and then shit happens, and he has to step up.
Yeah, he does not need an origin story. It is the most ridiculous, like, money gouging Hollywood idea ever. Anyway, next up, Mattel, which is a toy maker. You might have heard of them. They have started a Mattel Films division. They've got their own film division
Couldn't
now,
let Hasbro get too far ahead.
which will focus on developing movies based on their various toy lines, which include He-Man, Masters of the Universe, Hot Wheels, Barbie, and Thundercats, to name a few. That's some pretty big names, admittedly.
Popular brands, yeah.
It's funny, they're all brands that I missed as a kid, but
Oh, I was in on Hot Wheels. None of the others.
nah, I never saw He-Man. I never saw Thundercats, really. Never saw Hot Wheels. I was familiar with Barbie, but obviously it wasn't aimed at my side of the fence.
Yeah.
But hey,
No. I was big on Hot Wheels.
yeah. Next up, Warner Brothers and New Line have won an auction for The King, an epic-sized film that will star Dwayne Johnson, aka The Rock, as Hawaiian King. All right, brace myself. Kamehameha. Kamehameha. Is it? Do you know what it is? It's the number of syllables is just daunting.
Do you know what? I remember reading this and reading it as Kamehameha because it was spelt the exact same, if I recall,
yes.
as the Dragon Ball thing.
Oh,
Kamehameha.
well, I don't recall that. I don't know Dragon Ball.
No, but that was where they did the energy blast from the hands that they do in Dragon Ball that even you must be vaguely familiar with.
That's a Street Fighter thing to me, but okay, sure.
Similar, but
Hadouken. Or
yeah,
Hadouken.
it's kind of their Hadouken.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, Kamehameha then, sure. So Robert Zemeckis is going to direct it. So that's that's a notable name. Back to the Future, your Forrest Gumps, and obviously he's doing Welcome to Marwen right now. That's the one that he's got coming out.
Which looks delightful.
Which does look pretty good, yeah. So he's done that, and it was written by Randall Wallace, who also wrote the screenplay to Braveheart. So that may give you a sense of what the feel and the tone's going to be of this, mixed with Zemeckis. And Braveheart's a solid movie. I mean, it's not accurate by any means, and I assume this probably won't be that accurate, but
it's not about being accurate, it's about being fun.
And obviously The Rock is easily the biggest Hawaiian movie star, so that's happening.
Yeah.
So
if nothing else, he's got lots and lots of charisma, and if you play to that strength, you're good.
And more specifically Samoan, I should say, rather than Hawaiian, but.
Yeah, but he plays a lot of Hawaiian things.
He does. So yeah, Kamehameha is a legendary king who was the first to unite the warring Hawaiian Islands, which fulfilled the prophecy that surrounded his fabled life since birth. He took control of Hawaii's destiny and gave the islanders leverage in advancing the culture and trading with foreign ships from Europe that began showing up on the shores of the islands that must have seemed like paradise, albeit sometimes dangerous ones, as explorers like Simon Metcalf and Captain James Cook discovered before Kamehameha forcibly unified the islands. So
cool. Sounds like it could be good.
Yeah, I'm sure The Rock will do his thing. And, but I mean, hell, you got Zemeckis, you got that guy who wrote Braveheart. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to think it'll end up being good.
Well, there is. There's nothing to really doubt, is there?
Yeah. I think the premise itself is the only thing that's kind of like, whatever. But I mean, it could be great.
Yeah, I mean, I think on paper you would probably not be that into Braveheart.
That's true, but same with Gladiator. Braveheart and Gladiator are not movies that I would think I'd be into, but they're just really well done.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
there you go. Next up, so another big deal coming out of the 2018 Toronto Film Festival. Media Rights Capital has acquired the rights to Knives Out. It is a contemporary murder mystery that will star Daniel Craig as a detective assigned to solve the crime, with Ryan Johnson directing. I wonder if it'll subvert our expectations.
I don't care. I like everything you've said so far.
The film is fully financed and will shoot in November, with Craig starring before he returns to James Bond, which is, in limbo because Danny Boyle left.
That's why this is happening. It's like, well, I got a few months, so might as well.
In an interview with Deadline, when the project was revealed on Tuesday, because it was revealed on Tuesday, then picked up later in the week, Johnson said he loves Agatha Christie's rich characters and twists and turns in the locked door mansion murder mystery format, and has been figuring out a contemporary version for a decade. So it's going to be single set and murder mystery style. I like that a lot, actually. I just hope I like this, because everything else Ryan Johnson's done outside of episodes of TV that he's not the one, writing and being the driving force of, I felt just a little off. Like, people like Looper. I thought it was just a little bit murky and off, even though I love the concept. People loved Brick, and it was just a little bit off for me. I just didn't quite get into it.
Yeah.
So I hope I like this, because
I like everything I've seen from him personally. I like this concept a lot. I like Daniel Craig in this role. So yeah, I'm down for this.
So that's called Knives Out. So that's a thing that's happening. So you'll probably get that by the end of next year. If they're shooting in November, this doesn't sound like a film that's going to have a ton of post, like a big,
No. This could be out by summer if they wanted it to be.
So next up, Brian O'Malley, the Irish director whose last movie, The Lodgers, premiered at last year's Toronto Film Festival. He's signed on to direct Immaculate, an upcoming suspense thriller from Catapult Entertainment. The script from David R. Flores and J. Hunter Rowe. I wasn't expecting a third name there, so I said J. Hunter and then Rowe. I done the Rowe. It centers on a minister. It centers on a minister who, after a personal tragedy and having his own crisis of faith, is taken captive by a mother who believes her son possesses extraordinary abilities that are rooted in evil.
I like the sound of it.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the director or the writers by name.
I remembered The Lodgers coming out. I've not seen it, though. I did want to see it, just based on the title, because it had an interesting premise, if I recall, but...
Yeah, but I've not seen it. But, I mean, kind of like everything it says there.
Yeah, no, I like the premise, the idea of kidnapping a priest, or a minister, more specifically, to like, oh, my son's got powers, exercise
Do something. Yeah.
So, yeah. Sounds interesting. Next up, Steve Coogan and David Mitchell are set to star in Michael Winterbottom's Untitled. So I was building up to a title there, and I was like, oh, there's no title. I've got no conclusion to this sentence, really. It's Untitled.
That deflated so fast.
It's an untitled satirical movie about the super rich. Sony Pictures International and Film 4 are co-producing it. It's going to shoot in the fall. The story is a satirical take on the world of the super rich, with Alan Partridge and Philomena Starr. Coogan set to play a ruthless, perma-tanned and self-absorbed retail clothing billionaire. Actor and writer Mitchell is due to play a mild-mannered journalist hired by Coogan's character to chronicle his life story.
I can see this being fun.
I really hope this is just Alan Partridge, but he's just rich now. Not in name, but...
I hope not, because I'm not a fan of the Alan Partridge character.
The description of that is how I imagine Alan Partridge if he actually gets rich.
That's fair.
So, I can see it. I like both actors, though, in the right roles.
Me too.
Steve Coogan's a little bit hit and miss, but he can be really funny, and then Mitchell is really funny as well.
He is, yeah. I don't think I've ever seen him in anything really bad.
So, yeah. So, Untitled, but interesting premise with an interesting cast. Next up, Emmy nominee Edward Berger has been set to direct Rio, the Stephen Knight penned psychological thriller. Stephen Knight, of course, worked on Locke, which is why you should pay attention. He also worked on Taboo, the TV show, which I wasn't as keen on, but he did Locke, and Locke was fantastic. So
it was indeed.
Benefit of the doubt. But this is going to star Benedict Cumberbatch and Jake Gyllenhaal.
So quite a pair there.
Yeah, so you got those two. You got Stephen Knight writing the script. Rio is from the mind of Peaky Blinders, Taboo, and Locke's Night. So yeah, he worked on all those. It centers on two old friends who meet again in the titular city. One is a journalist, and the other is a hugely successful financier. The plot details are under wraps, although there is a strong female character as well. Do you know what I long for? I long for the day we don't have to say strong female character, because we don't do that for the dudes. We never have to say strong male character.
No, it's true.
But we have to emphasise it. It's a shame. But hey, not a lot in the plot there, but certainly an interesting list of names attached to that. Good cast, good writer.
I like the cast. I like the writer, obviously, because Locke especially is a writer's movie.
Yes, it is. Absolutely is.
So I mean, he's clearly talented with his writing. So I mean, I'm hopeful.
Yeah. Next up, Tom Waller is set to direct his script for The Cave, a drama about the harrowing rescue of the Wild Boars soccer team after 12 boys aged 11 to 16 and their coach got trapped earlier this summer in the Tham Luang cave in Thailand. The rescue of the boys before the caves became flooded played out in real time on TV screens across the world and was accomplished by experts from numerous countries. Set up as a Thai production, the drama will begin shooting in November. Do you know? This is so quick. They are fast tracking the shit out of this.
When this news story was happening earlier in the year, I remember us distinctly saying, "How long till the movie?"
Yes, this is shooting in
November. It might even have been
November.
on this show.
This could be out next summer, a year after it happened.
Yeah,
probably closer to the end of the year, because I could feel that they might want to have like Oscar potential, so it might be later into that season. But
if they push for it, yeah.
This will be out by the end of the next year, which is insane. Unless it's really a really long, difficult shoot because of all the water and whatnot, which it could be. But
yeah, it could. But I mean, it does remind me Elon Musk being a dick again about it this week.
Well,
you know how
he
called the diver a pedo, and then
yes.
like apologized like a week later. He called him a child rapist earlier this week.
Yeah,
Twice.
The diver's suing him, I believe, for libel.
Yeah, he should be. He didn't the first time, but if he
should now.
He is now.
Someone that big who's got a stage to speak from. Yeah, bet your ass you should sue him.
Should know better, right?
Next up, Christine and Simon Killer. These are titles. I was confused there for a second. I thought these were names of people. Christine and Simon Killer director Antonio Campos has set up his next film just in time to be a hot Toronto sales package. People are selling films to distributors at Toronto. Tom Holland, Robert Pattinson, Mia Wasikowski, and Chris Evans, along with Tracy Letts, are all in talks to star in it. It's called The Devil All the Time. The film is an adaptation of Donald Ray Pollock's 2011 novel that Campos and I'll take a guess to say brother Paul Campos penned, and then Antonio's going to direct it. So that's an interesting list of names.
Solid cast.
Yeah. Chris Evans is great. Maya Wasikowski is really good. She was in Stoker that I liked a lot. She's been in some other stuff, but that's where I really know her from.
Yeah.
And of course, Tom Holland's is Spider-Man, obviously. So, the plot of the novel in a place called Knockemstiff, Ohio. Knockemstiff, Ohio.
That can't be real.
I hope it is.
Oh, I hope it's real.
Knockemstiff, Ohio. A forgotten backwoods of the country. A storm of faith, violence, and redemption brews. Out of desperation to save his dying wife, our protagonist Willard Russell turns to prayer, which succumbs to sacrifice. Now, so far this doesn't sound that interesting, but this really unravels as it goes and adds more to it.
Oh, it succumbs to sacrifice. I'm kind of going, okay.
Alright, his son Arvin, played by Holland, is growing from a kid bullied at school into a man who knows when to take action. The cast of characters includes a serial killer couple, a faith-testing preacher, and a corrupt local sheriff played by Chris Evans, in a story told across 2 decades. I love how you get to the end and it just starts like serial killer couple, faith-testing preacher, corrupt sheriff, 2 decades! 2 whole decades! And I'm like,
it sounds like a season of True Detective.
It does, but it gets more insane as it goes, and I'm like, okay, all right, I'm interested.
Yeah, me too.
So I assume Tom Holland will be in the newest part of the timeline, and maybe Robert Pattinson's his dad, but like 20 years ago, when he was younger or something like that.
Yeah, maybe.
I can see that being kind of the setup, and then who knows what part of the timeline Evans is in. Who knows?
All of it.
All of it. Anyway,
Yeah.
next up, Margot Robbie and Matthias Schoenaerts are attached to star in the World War II thriller Ruin. Justin Kurzel, who did Assassin's Creed, and I think you're Macbeth.
Macbeth,
Yeah.
yes.
He is going to direct Ryan and Matthew Firpo's Blacklist-topping script. This is another one that sounds like a serious war thing or a serious like drama about like a Holocaust survivor, and then it goes kind of nuts. Set in the
I'll be honest. Up till this point, it's only the direct that really has me interested.
Set in the ruins of post-World War II Germany, the film will follow a Holocaust survivor played by Margot Robbie who is forced to make an unlikely alliance with an ex-SS captain in her quest to exact revenge. Together they hunt down the surviving members of the captain's former Nazi death squad.
Oh, I'm in.
Yes. I'm like, this is like a really serious, like, oh no, they're going to hunt down Nazis. Her and an ex-Nazi are going to hunt down other Nazis. What? What's happening? But
I'm in.
that's going to start shooting in Q2 2019 in Prague. So this is a little bit away off. So this won't be out till 2020, but
That's fine.
It's in the works.
I can wait.
Yeah. So that's the thing that's happening.
Yeah, you know the only reason that it's that far out is because Margot Robbie's got a waiting list.
Yes, yeah, she has a waiting list because she has like 2 DC movies and like 4 Oscar films and whatever else she's doing for the next while.
Way too much is what she has.
Well, she's a good actress. She's getting around. Do you know what, someone pointed out this week how much younger what's her name? I want to say Jamie Kennedy from My Name Is Earl looks like Margot Robbie.
I know who you're on about.
Yeah, if you look at her circa that time when she was about the same age as Margot Robbie is now, they look really like it's hard to tell them apart in certain images.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm like, nah, they actually do look a lot alike. I never really thought about it.
I'll have to go and Google this later.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing where they typically, maybe they'll have different hair and dress differently, so it's not that hard. But when you get 2 photos where they happen to have the same hairstyle, it's like, oh dear, which one's which? Again, assuming you're looking at one from, 15 years ago, because now she's older.
I'm sure if I Google both their names, there'll be a nice friendly article or tweet with the pictures side by side for me.
Probably. I think I'm getting it. I think it was Jamie Kennedy. Maybe I'm.
I'll be honest. I could never.
Jamie Presley, maybe. I can't remember.
Do I need to check this? Because you're kind of looking like a fool.
What's your point? I always
could have just left it, and we wouldn't have questioned it.
I know, but I might be accurate.
Jamie Presley.
Jamie Presley. Okay, I did get to it then. I got to it in the end.
You did.
Right, type in Margot Kidder next to
Jesus, actually, I just looked at her IMDb picture.
Yep.
And just at a glance, I can see it already.
Yep. There you go.
I get where the comparison's coming from.
There you go.
It's in the jaw and the mouth specifically, I think.
So if you look into her eyes, you can tell them apart. That's what you're saying.
Probably.
Yes. Anyway, moving on. James Darcy and Laura Harrier, along with Mina Massoud, are going to star in an independent science fiction film called Warning. It's going to be shot in Romania. Agatha Alexander will be directing the film, based on the original screenplay she wrote with Rob Michelson and Jason Kay. So we got that, and then the story is in the style of Netflix's Black Mirror sci-fi anthology series. It explores loneliness, death, and meaning of life when vastly disparate lives collide in an interweaving story, set in a near-future Earth. So it sounds like it's an anthology where you've got like 3 Black Mirror stories, but they all actually mix in by the end.
Yeah.
Which is a cool premise. Okay. I'm okay with that.
It is. I have just a slight side question here.
Okay.
Do you ever feel bad for Channel 4 that it's always it's Netflix's Black Mirror?
They let it go. It's a fault.
It is.
They should have given Brooker whatever he wanted, and they didn't.
They should have. But I mean, just feel a little bit bad for him.
So Alexander's making her feature film debut. She's worked with a bunch of music videos and stuff. Interestingly, I think this is something for both us to take note of. Clint Mansell's doing the score.
Oh, I'm in. I'm a big Clint Mansell fan.
It's definitely describing a tone, and then you add in some of his like piano score to it.
You tell me that, and I go, okay. I have a vague idea of what I know. What sort of tone he is perfect at. I know what he's usually hired for.
Yes.
It actually tells me a lot about the movie.
I mean, I'm not just saying this because it's my favorite thing Clint Mansell's been involved in, But I do think there'll be the tone of Moon will probably be in at least one of these stories, or maybe across the whole thing. Given what they said there about loneliness in the future and meaning of life.
Yeah.
Plus Clint
God,
Mansell.
how good is this score for Moon?
This is fantastic. It's fantastic.
I know. Oh man.
So good.
I have to go and put it on in a minute because screw you.
All right, we're into the horror section now. Horror movie time.
Cool.
Paramount has dated the sequel to A Quiet Place for May 15th, 2020. John Krasinski is writing the script, but there's no director attached yet.
Okay.
That was actually part of the all the Paramount dates earlier, but this was a horror movie, so it went in the horror section.
So you shafted it.
Yes. So May 15th, 2020. So that's coming in a couple of years. So moving on, we are hearing from a bunch of places that Lars Klevberg, I thought it was an I before, Lars Klevberg's horror film Polaroid, which was at Dimension Films, is now heading to Netflix. It's not finalised yet, they're still working through it. Apparently, the company that owns it is technically the company that now owns the Weinstein Company. So they're going through a transition period at the moment. Because they just bought the Weinstein Company assets. But Polaroid is a high school. It follows a high school loner, Bird Fitcher. What a name, Bird Fitcher.
Some evil parenting.
Who has no idea what dark secrets are tied to the mysterious vintage Polaroid camera. I love that a Polaroid camera is now a vintage thing. It's not now; it's a relic of a time gone by. That's really funny to me.
I've still got one.
I don't think I ever owned one.
Do you not?
Even as a kid, no, never had one. But yeah, so she stumbles upon a Polaroid camera, but it doesn't take long to discover that those who have their picture taken meet a tragic end.
Do you know what? I swear we've spoken about this before, because this is the Goosebumps story, Say Cheese and Die.
I'll take your word for it.
It is. No, it's they find a camera, they take your picture. It's one of the I think in the story it's one of those, that they just prints out the picture there.
Yeah.
You wave it and then you look at it and it's not how you took them. They're actually just dead somehow, and then within a day they turn up dead in that same way.
I am going to take a stab here and say that Goosebumps was not the first thing to use this plot device.
Probably not, but it's the one that comes to mind first for me.
That's fair. That sounds okay. So it sounds like it could be a generic, crappy horror movie, but it also sounds like it could be a fun premise if they do the right thing with it.
Yeah.
Animal Kingdom and Playtime have begun packaging the English language remake of the Austrian film Goodnight, Mummy, which I have seen, so I can comment on this.
I haven't.
Film is going to start in Q3 2019, so it's a good year away before they start filming it, actually.
Yeah.
But they've got director of 2015 Sundance drama Take Me to the River is attached to direct. That's Matt Sobel. Writing is underway with Sobel overseeing a draft by Caleb Warren based on a shared idea from them based on the original. So it'll be a story by both, screenplay by Kyle, kind of deal. So in Goodnight Mummy, Elias and his twin brother Lucas arrive at their mother's house to find her face covered in bandages. The result, she explains, of a recent cosmetic surgery. Lucas' delight at their mother's uncharacteristically lax house rules, but in Elias' mind, a dreadful thought takes root. The sinking suspicion that this woman beneath the gaze, who's making their food and sleeping in the room next to them, isn't really their mother.
I knew that's where this was going.
I have seen it. I had a really good trailer back when the I always say German film because it's in German, but it's an Austrian film.
Close enough.
It's really well made. I wasn't a fan where it went in the third act. There was a twist that I just felt wasn't needed.
Here's the question. Do you think in the Hollywoodized version they do something different? Because that's usually where they change things for the Hollywood versions, is the third act.
I think,
or is it already kind of a Hollywood-esque twist?
I think Hollywood's going to like the twist. Because to me, the premise we just read there, I love the sound of that.
Yeah, me too.
But the film kind of veers into something else. Although there was part of the twist that I did also really like. There's the actual twisty part I didn't like, but the result of it I kind of liked. If that makes any sense.
I'm going to have to get you to tell me this off camera because I'm intrigued. But not intrigued enough to go and watch it.
Okay. It is well made though. It's very suspenseful early on. It's got a good tone, but I was left murky by the end. But maybe this is something they can improve upon. But hey, so next up, we just got The Nun, but Nunsploitation is not dead. With that release, we're getting more Nun movies, not related to The Nun and The Conjuring, just a nunsploitation movie. It's called St. Agatha, and it's directed by Saw filmmaker Darren Lynn Bousman. Although I feel like his best film was The Collector, so they should mention that. He did Saw 2, 3, and 4. I think.
I didn't think that was that great either.
I enjoy it. It's not a great movie, but I like that movie.
It's okay.
I liked it. Look, it's not great, but I liked it. Anyway, so it's getting a theatrical release in the US. Uncorked Entertainment acquired the rights. It is a female-driven psychological thriller, and it'll be released on VOD as well as theatrically in the first quarter of 2019. The film is set in 1950s Georgia and focuses on a pregnant con woman who is on the run and seeks refuge in a convent. However, what first starts out as the perfect place to have a child turns into a dark lair where silence is forced, ghastly secrets are masked, and every bit of willpower Agatha has is tested as she learns the sick and twisted truth of the convent and the odd people that lurk inside its halls. The nuns turn out to be evil as shit. I'm into this.
Sounds like perfect Screams material for you to get going in the new year.
It may not end up being good, but the premise is interesting enough on its own, I think, that I think there's potential.
That's fair enough, yeah.
Next up, John Boyega is going to executive produce a UK fantasy horror film called A Spriggan, from writer director Keir Burrows, who did Antimatter, which I've not seen. Currently out to cast, creature feature A Spriggan follows a recently widowed mother who returns to her father's isolated hotel only to find a sinister folklore presence haunting the land.
I'm in.
I like the sound of it. I love isolated hotel as a setting. I love creature features, so yeah, go for it.
Yeah, the only thing I have to be cautious with is I'm not familiar with the writer director.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair. So no, that sounds cool. Next up, we got a film called Larry. It's a monster movie.
I'm in.
Gillian Jacobs has just been cast in it, from Community, of course. Britta. Britta's the worst, of course, as everyone knows.
Of course.
In the film, it's writer-director Jacob Chase who's doing this. A troubled young boy and his family become the target of a monster who materializes through electronic devices such as smartphones and tablets. And presumably he's called Larry.
I hope so.
You would
Larry's
think.
a great name for this.
The Hollywood Reporter notes that the project is based on Chase's horror short and harkens back to early Amblin movies such as The Family Under Siege and Poltergeist, as well as more recent films such as Mama. So that gives you an idea of kind of,
Yeah, okay, I get what they're going for.
Yeah, it's a family. I assume Gillian Jacobs will be the mother. Which is, it's funny how much difference 10 years makes. So she was a college student 10 years ago in Community. And she'll be the mother.
She was a slightly in the older age of the college student. She
was. And obviously, I mean, she'll probably have like young kids in this. It doesn't mean she's got teenagers or anything like that. But it's just, I think it's funny in the perspective of like an actor where there's a time where you're playing a high school student and a college student, and you can maybe hover between the two a little bit, and then there's a time where you're just a 20-something person, and then you're just locked into being a parent for like ever.
No, that's it. You play down for quite a while, and then that's it. Tough shit.
That's why it feels like a big jump, because you're playing down for a long time, so it just jumps to now you're a parent.
Yeah, definitely.
So there you go. That's Larry. So that sounds okay. I can see it being potential. I'm
never gonna live up to the title.
I mean, I like Poltergeist, but I'm not in love. Like some people put Poltergeist on the list of best horror movies ever, and for me, it's never been that good. I like it.
I
but
think
it's not great.
It's a great introductory horror movie. It's a horror movie almost for kids.
I'd agree with that. I think it's perfectly suitable for kids outside of maybe one or two, like...
Yeah, but it's the sort of one that you show your 8-year-old, right?
Sure. Yeah.
It's responsible parenting.
I totally wasn't watching more harder horror films when I was 8. Yeah,
no,
sure.
No, of course the kids themselves want to watch more, but you have to have a veneer of, okay, I'm not going to give you Halloween. You gotta go, I'll give you Poltergeist. And you can go and watch Halloween in your own time, and I'll pretend I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. I might have been 9 before I saw Halloween.
Oh, I'm sorry, but you get the point. Your parents weren't giving you Halloween. You kind of just went and watched that.
There was no policing though. If something was on TV, it was fair game basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
that was the rules. So outside of hardcore porn, everything was kind of up for grabs. But yeah, so that is Larry. So that's interesting. So the last news story of the week, still in the horror section, of course. Highland Film Group announced that they have got Alexander Daddario and Kian Johnson, who was in Alita Battle Angel, or will be in Alita Battle Angel. Obviously, Alexander Daddario, in terms of horror films, she was in Texas Chainsaw 3D, but of course, she's also known for True Detective. She's known for San Andreas. She's known for a bunch of things. She's in that Netflix movie earlier this year.
She was in a fantastic episode of Always Sunny. I don't know if you've seen that one or not.
I don't think I have. That's something to look forward to. Interesting.
It is.
So they will star Mark Myers, who made My Friend Dahmer, which I've not seen. I've heard that title a few times. I should probably look that up and see get a bit more info on it. But it's an upcoming horror film called We Summon the Darkness, and it's written by Alan Trezza, who did Burying the X, which I've actually also not seen. And I wanted to see that because Joe Dante directed that. That was the
All right.
like the zombie girlfriend kept coming back from the dead.
Yeah, I remember.
So anyway, the killing spree of murderous Satanists has already led to 18 deaths throughout America's heartland. 3 best friends embark on a road trip to a heavy metal gig. Naive, they bond with 3 seemingly fun-loving guys, and the group heads off to Alexa's secluded country home for an after party. Yeah, three random guys. Yeah, take them back to your house with your friends. That's a good idea. I'm just saying, you're asking to be in a horror movie. That's all I'm saying.
Kind of are.
What should be a night of fun and youthful debauchery may instead take a dark, deadly turn. With killers on the loose, can anyone be trusted? Meaning they're going to suspect the guys as being the killers, probably. It'll be a game of paranoia in there, which is fine.
Probably fairly.
Yeah. That sounds fine. Sounds like it's got potential.
Yeah. It's definitely one of the girls doing the killing and using it as an excuse.
That's your twist, isn't it? It's the girls of the Satanists, and they've lured the guys out there to kill them.
Yeah.
That's your twist. I mean, we don't know this, we're just guessing, but there you go.
It just that feels right to me.
It feels right. Maybe it'll have a twist, though. Maybe it'll just be straightforward. Everyone's game. So, yeah, there you go. So there's more cast. The one name that sticks out to me is Amy Forsyth. She was the lead character in season 2 of Channel Zero. Just to give you a...
okay. I knew I recognised the name.
Yeah. Maddie Hassan's in it from Impulse. Logan Miller's in it. He was in Love, which was with Gillian Jacobs, funnily enough, who we just mentioned. And then Austin Swift, who was in Live by Night and IT. Don't know who that is, or what either of those things are, but that's okay.
I've heard of Live by Night. I couldn't tell you what it is, but I'm familiar with the name.
But there you go. That is the news for this week. That is the movie news. So hopefully that makes up for the lack of movie news last week, and we will be back next week. But yeah. So end of the show. We usually quickly just run down any films we watched this week, and I did watch one. Connor didn't watch any, but I did get one watched.
I'm double checking. It's been 2 weeks. Maybe I watched.
That's true. It's been 2 weeks.
Did I watch? No, I didn't.
It's only been one for me. I did 2 scripted reviews the week before. So I watched some movies, but they all turned into content.
But you don't get to talk about them here.
No, the one movie I watched this week was Tully, which was the Charlize Theron.
I remember watching the trailer for it a while back.
Yeah, where she gets the nanny, the night nanny, played by Mackenzie Davis, who was in San Junipero of Black Mirror, which was very good, and she was in Blade Runner 2049.
Netflix's Black Mirror.
Netflix's Black Mirror. That's right. And really well acted. Charlize Theron is fantastic in this, and she's this tired mother. She just had her 3rd baby at the start of the movie, and she's tired. Her eldest son is they keep calling him quirky, and he's not been diagnosed as autistic or anything like that yet. Like they've taken him to doctors and they've not diagnosed him with anything. So he doesn't seem to actually be autistic, but he definitely seems like he's acting out. He's a bit more attention needing, to the point where the teachers are asking for do we need help with this? I don't know if we can give him the attention he needs, that kind of thing. So she's got that sort of stress on her mind, and she's feeling bogged down. Life's kind of miserable. Her husband's actually a really nice guy who helps when he can, but when once everything's done, the kids are in bed, the headphones are on, he's playing games because he's been at work all day. He comes home, he helps with the homework, he helps with dinner or whatever, and then it's video game time.
Seems like a perfectly reasonable man.
And she's against Mark Duplass is in it. He plays her brother, and he's the one who says, "Hey, I'm rich, I'll pay for a night nanny," and she's like, "I can't do that. I don't want someone in my house."
So I'm glad there was a reason, because in the trailer it kind of feels like she just showed up.
No, there's a reason.
Like, oh, you need help, here I am.
And she's hesitant until she ends up having a bit of a breakdown and kind of arguing with the headmistress at the school, and she makes the choice to call the night nanny, and she shows up, and it's kind of weird at first. It's a little bit quirky, and she's kind of friendly. And the movie's themes are very much about how she's looking at the night nanny because she's this young, 22 or whatever, and she's college age, and it's like, oh, I remember when I was that thin, and I remember when I was that attractive and sought after, and I had time for all these different things, and it's kind of like a middle-aged coming of age story almost. It's about getting through that midlife crisis from a mother's perspective, right?
Yeah.
And it does all that really well, and like I say, the acting from Theron is magnificent.
I feel like there's a but coming.
Every scene she's in is she captures the scene. You feel the pain. It feels very natural and real. The but, and it's not a huge but because overall the movie's still really good. But there is a twist.
Everything you said, stuff like it just really doesn't need a twist at all.
It doesn't need a twist at all. That's the problem. But there's a twist, and it felt a bit. And it's a twist that you've seen in a few different things. It's not like a completely original. Oh God, how did they think of that? But
does it feel like a twist for the sake of a twist?
Kinda, because I think my problem with it is that it doesn't change the points they're making. All the points that were being made still worked without the twist. The twist just, it just. Yeah, it was just. It's not a horrible twist, but it fell flat for me. Like, instead of being like wowed and being like, "Oh my God, that adds so many layers to what happened in this movie," I just kind of went. The point is still kind of the same. It adds to one kind of little thing, but other than that, the point's the same. Whereas a good twist makes you rethink all the context, right? It makes you rethink of how everything happened as it was going. Yeah. And the twist in this just kind of is like, okay, that works, but I didn't need it.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So that kind of sucks. But I mean, ultimately, if I'm rating it, I'm giving it a 7. It's a solid 7 because it's still very well acted and directed, and everything else.
It's still pretty good then.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, so to wrap up, we usually tell you what's coming up on the channel review wise.
And what we did in the past week.
And what we did, yeah, what went up. So notable that Predators, a review of Predators, until next weekend, the final film in the franchise, we did that because we've done them all over the past 6 months. We've been working through them, so that's up for everyone. Patreon got early the first half of our top 50 world cinema countdown, and we will have part 2 of that up very soon for patrons. And yeah, and then there'll be another film next Friday, which will be the Patreon pick for the month, which the winner of which was Silence of the Lambs. So that's coming up as well early for patrons in the next week. So that's cool. We mentioned that there's now scripted reviews going up, 5-6 minutes scripted reviews that are spoiler free. Summer of '84 and Upgrade have both been reviewed in that fashion, and they both went up. Streams After Midnight, literally just today at the time of recording, we had the discussion for the Nun, which was a good hour long. It was a really in-depth discussion, but that will also be getting the 5-minute scripted review treatment, and that should be up in the next day or two, so you can get that as well.
Because we appreciate not everyone has an hour to listen to.
Exactly.
Some ramblings.
Exactly. And even if you've already watched the discussion, by all means, have a look and give feedback. Are the intended jokes funny?
Given that you're writing them, probably not.
Shut up. And for the record, everyone's had a Buffy reference in so far. That's the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I've not done it yet.
Hang on. You can't use your own content as the reference.
Watch me.
Son of a bitch.
Watch me. But yeah, so check out that. Of course, you can support everything we do here, all the reviews, all the discussions, all the podcasts, by going over to patreon.com/MailedFuzzTV, and you get some stuff early, like the influxes we mentioned, overload. You get voting rates at the $5 tier and a bunch of other stuff, but obviously there's a lot at the $1 tier as well, and all of it does help us.
Speaking of overload, that went up this week for them as well.
Oh, did it? Yeah, the last one we did was the Ghost in the Darkness, which was Matt's pick for the month. So there you go. This month's winner was Speed, so we'll be getting to that at some point in the month.
Was that your choice?
That was my choice.
Yeah, it was.
He picked Twister, and I went, well, I'll fight fire with fire. But this month he's picked something I am not happy about, so I am coming guns blazing.
I think you should let them know what he's picked.
Well, I've not picked mine yet, so it feels like a cheek to say
No,
what
I
his
know,
is.
but just so that they know this is what you've got to fight. This is why it's taking you a little bit longer to pick it.
Well, he's picked The Lost Boys, a film which I am not particularly fond of.
Fun fact: he actually gave Peter a choice of two movies, and that was the lesser of two evils.
That was the lesser of two evils. I was not happy with either of them, though. Let me make that clear. I won't say what the other one is because there's a good chance we'll probably pick it in the future. But yeah, so Lost Boys again something, and I have to pick something bloody tempting for everyone. So it has to be something that's like, no, Matt will be tortured with this. You're going to love it. Do it.
Yeah,
Do it.
but Lost Boys is a relatively popular movie.
I know, it's annoying. The vastly superior Near Dark was out the same year. That's all I'm saying. Vastly
Near
superior.
Dark's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that one.
We already did that in Screamers though, so I can't really just pick that. As much as that would be funny. No, Near Dark, same year, vampire movie, much better.
Hell of a score.
Hell of a score. Bill Mother effing Paxton. Excellent.
It was pretty great.
Also, more cast members from Aliens and Adrian Pasdar, who's pretty good too. So, hell of a movie. Hell of a movie. Catherine Bigelow directed. Good stuff. As opposed,
Basically, what we're saying is go watch Near Dark.
as opposed to Lost Boys, which is directed by the guy who did Batman and Robin. Just FYI. Shite. Anyway, so Patreon, go check it out, and support us and stuff. We appreciate it loads. We love you loads. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fudge for channel updates. You can get Connor. We can get you, Connor, on Twitter if they want to know you.
They can get me at Connor Ryan 94, and yes, I'm tired and just read that off the screen.
You can hurl insults at him. Yes. His Twitter's so hard to remember, even though it's just his name and his birth year. He struggles.
I get put on the spot and I go, what is it? And then I go, oh yeah, it's that. It's just easier just to read it.
You can get me at Wibble89. Wibble is not my official name, just for the record. Just in case you thought it was.
You have had a significant number of people call you Wooble, though.
I don't mind.
In YouTube comments.
Yeah, it's the one that's on the screen. It's fine. I get it.
Yeah. They hear the intro at the start and then forget about it because why would they?
That's how we separate the drive-by posts and the people who are actually fans of the content and stick around because they'll know our names.
Yeah. The ones who are just there they see Wooble and go, his name's Wooble.
That's my alias.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching movies, guys, and we'll see you next time.